Good morning and welcome to the Monday podcast at the very early hour of 6:30 in the morning. I'm on my way to the train to visit the world's largest computer fair, and that's the CeBIT in Hanover. Well, I'm here in Hanover now, and I've been around about half the fairground. One of the things that strikes me is that there's a lot of middle-sized stands, but the really big stands, the big players, are missing or few and far between. It maybe improves the quality of the fair because there's a lot less gimmicks, a lot less shows going on. There's a good quality of stand with products to see, information to be had, good quality discussions, and that certainly made it a very interesting day. I've got about half the fair still to walk around, and I've only got 2.5 hours left to do it in. Well, it's 5:20 and my train goes in half an hour, so I'm starting to make my way back towards the station. It's been a very busy day, it's been a very interesting day, and I could have spent a lot more time here on some of the stands. Unfortunately, I'm only here for the one day. But like I say, very interesting, and we'll talk about the highlights when I'm back in Oberhausen.
Okay, so I'm now back in Oberhausen, sitting in the kitchen.
So how was your trip to the CeBIT?
It was good. It was very interesting.
How did you get up this morning?
Okay, there wasn't enough time. With the train. So I took the train down to Frankfurt, and then the intercity from Frankfurt to Hanover, which stops direct at the fairground.
So do you know your way? I mean, right to the fairgrounds? You've been there before,
I've been there several times. That was, I think, my 10th year at CeBIT. So,
okay.
You get out of the train, you walk over the bridge, and you're straight at the entrance. That's been done a few years ago for the expo, and that's really good now. So you don't have to go into Hanover anymore and back on the tram.
All right,
you get out at the station.
Oh, so it's quite convenient for everybody.
Yeah.
And how much is the entrance ticket?
It depends when you buy it. There's various rates you can buy in advance, and I think that was €33 in advance. If you go and buy on the day, it's €38 for a single ticket. There's discounts for the week. There's discounts for students at the weekend, but only at the weekend and on the last day. And I was there with a ticket from Xing or OpenBC, which let me in for €16.50.
Oh, that was a special price
for
the members. Okay.
For the members, yeah.
And tell me, what kind of clientele goes there? I mean, retailers, wholesalers, private people?
Everything. Everybody goes. Wholesalers will go. They will go and look for new products from maybe the Far East to import to Germany. There will be wholesalers going around the larger manufacturers here of computer items to see what's new from them, or basically, more importantly for them, is to talk to these people, to talk to sales managers, to talk to managing directors, to actually keep the contacts going. And then I would say smaller businesses will go if they're looking for solutions, or if they've got a problem with something and they actually want to speak to someone from a particular company, then they can go that way. Like I say, normally for solutions or looking for customers even to offer their items. Although normally if you're offering something, you're going to want to have a stand, and you'll want the people to come to you. But there's nothing to stop you going around and speaking to people and saying, "I've got this system. Can we talk about it?" And private people go as well. Private people go who are interested, who maybe have something in their work to do with the computers, and they don't get the time from their work. They don't get sent there on business. I've heard of companies that will pay for the ticket and the expenses if you
go on your own.
If you go on your own and take a day's holiday, or if you go at the weekend. So it's a good mixture.
Okay, and tell me, is that more of a male domain as far as the clientele, or did you see a lot of women up there too? I'm just interested.
We used to have a good mixture on the stand when I worked on a stand. I would say
percentage-wise?
Percentage-wise, maybe we're 60-40, 70-30, somewhere in that direction. it's maybe some areas are very male dominated, others are not. Certainly on the stands you will find a good mixture, although it can very much, a lot of stands will turn into male managing director with female hostess from the stand, so serving the drinks.
We've seen that, right.
So that's happens a lot, but the more, shall we say, there's a lot of women working in marketing and sales, and they're obviously there. That's their area. So, so the normal thought of computing being male-dominated because of all the technicians isn't the case. That may be with the visitors, but certainly on the stand side, you're going to have a lot of marketing people there, a lot of sales people, and then there's a good mixture.
Okay, good to know. I read somewhere that this year, though, there have been fewer stands than the previous years.
Yeah,
Did you notice that? Or, I mean,
you notice it in certainly some corners of the halls are sort of done with boarding. They've got sort of advertising boarding up in the corners to block off a whole corner which they haven't needed. I noticed that certainly larger stands were missing. So a lot of companies that maybe used to have really large stands that you knew year for year they were going to have a good stand with lots going on had got smaller or not there at all. One of the best examples was Apple, who've brought out bringing out the iPhone, as they call it, which is a mixture of iPod and telephone, and they're not there. So everybody else was showing off their maybe version or what they can do, but like I say, Apple wasn't there. We've had other years where big players haven't been there. And this year I think most of them have come back. Some that I can remember from previous years who didn't go are now back, but they have a much more moderate stand, and it really is just there to sell. And whereas other years we've had big shows on, and you have live demonstrations or
lectures too.
Lectures you always have. Lectures. A lot of stands do lectures, or they'll have a closed meeting room for invited guests. But what I used to like were the live shows where people would demonstrate their products with an audience, which I thought was always very good. I did it myself once, and it's great fun to do, but it takes a lot of organisation. It takes a lot of it takes up a certain amount of space on the stand, and you've got to have a company that wants to do that. And if they're going to do it really well, they need to put a lot into it. You need to put a lot into giveaways. You need to have professionals there to present the products, and they're not doing that. People aren't doing that. I saw very few of that. So
you mean people are giving freebies away, and not so much this year?
The freebies were almost next to none. Normally I would expect to see things like pens and things. The freebies that I saw, the two freebies that I saw that were in any way going to be available were the same as last year. So those particular two stands were the same as last year. The one company, I know one big company that used to have an awful lot of freebies, had next to nothing. That was literally just for special guests or those that spent some time on the stand were getting something, but not just giveaways to advertise. And it's a shame because I know, obviously they want to get away. One of the criticisms we used to have was that you'd have lots of children coming in on the Sundays, on the basically family day effectively, and the children are coming in and they're just there for the giveaways, and you want to get away from that. These things are just going out on the and not going to the people who they were actually there for. We got around that. Stands used to get around that in that they just didn't have them on Sunday, so they would take, when they know the children are coming in at the weekend for discount rates, they would take the giveaways off the stand, keep them there for the business people coming back Monday.
I see.
Which isn't to say that the business people aren't collecting them for their children, of course, to take home. But the point is that this is, you've got a business person coming, they're taking maybe a football or the pen or something with them, or a badge, which is going to stick in their mind as, I got this from this stand. It increases the image of the stand, even if they take the football home and give it to their children.
That's true, yeah.
So, I did last year. I had a football. I gave it to Sarah, and this year I knew exactly when I saw the stand. That was why I got the football last year. So it works. These things
stick in your mind.
These things are important, and I think that they were too undervalued this year. There just wasn't enough at all. And I even saw stands where they got their pens and the pens were attached to the desk. Now I've never seen on CeBIT pens attached to desks before. But pens are the things you can buy so cheap that you
well, it seems they're on a tight budget, maybe, or, I mean, for whatever reason, yeah.
A lot of stands were probably, they're talking about making it shorter next year to reduce the budget as well for the companies, which I don't think is going to work much because you're just reducing eating costs, personnel costs, hotel costs, but the stand is still going to have to stand, it's still going to have to be built.
Speaking of that, I mean, the fair runs for 1 week, but behind the scenes, I mean, how long does it actually set it up and de-set?
Okay, let's take this year. It runs from Thursday to following Wednesday.
Okay.
Okay. So I would expect somebody who's setting up this stand from a technical point of view to have been there at least Tuesday, if not Monday evening, just to attach equipment to the stand, to make sure lines are working, to set demos up. If they're having more shows and things, you're going to want spots and stuff set up. That's the thing that runs from, like I say, that Monday evening, Tuesday morning, through to, late in the night, Wednesday night. The people building the stands, the carpenters and electricians and things, they're going to have been there for over a week, if not more, setting it up. And they'll put it all down. They'll start Wednesday night at 6 o'clock when everybody leaves. They'll start putting it all back down again. And as far as I remember, they're generally out by Sunday.
So there's quite a bit of work behind the scenes.
There's a lot of work there, so that effectively you're there 2 to 3 weeks to do all this, and so I don't think one day is going to make that much difference.
That's true. They should keep it the way it is then.
They should maybe keep it the way it is, because I'm not quite sure what day they're going to take off. I'd have to look in the calendar and see if it's already in it, but taking the Thursday off I don't think would help, because starting on a Friday is not good. Taking the Wednesday off would reduce it back to the Tuesday, and that's the point where we'd start saying, why are we having almost a 5-day fair over a weekend? The weekend was always good because it allowed people who couldn't get away otherwise to come and visit, but it's always a nuisance for the people working on the stands because they have to work effectively 2 weeks without a break, and working on the stand is hard work.
Oh, I know, yeah.
So I'm wondering what they're going to do with it, and I know they've tried these things before. A few years ago we had it 1 day longer, so we had Wednesday to Wednesday. And I think when it first started, CeBIT was even a day longer than that, but I'm not so sure. And we had Wednesday to Wednesday, and again it was a case of, well, the same number of people are coming, they're just taking longer to come because they're coming over more days, so we can go back to the original week. And I think the same will be true next year, that maybe the same number of people are there, only they have a day less to do it. So it's possible that it would just be more crowded.
Right, that would be the logic.
Thing. I don't, and obviously then is the question: do they make as much money on the restaurants and things if they're open for a day less? Other people who are in a hurry because they haven't got so much time, they're going to be queuing longer at the stands. Are they going to go and eat, or are they going to do like I do and take lunch with them? And I'm not sure about this. It's something that I think they'll try out, and we'll see whether it actually holds longer than a year.
So, and then just returning from the fair, well, did your eye catch anything interesting? I mean, something like that could benefit you? Any interesting products?
Interesting products. Well, one of the things that were a lot of were navigation instruments, GPS and stuff. That was interesting to look at and to see, to be able to try these things out. Normally, that's one of the advantages of CeBIT, you can try things out normally. If you have a special offer here in a supermarket, you've got the one item, it's either that or not, and you probably can't try it out anyway. So you're going to buy it, take it home, and spend maybe €300 on something that doesn't do what you want. So being able to try these things out and actually talk to the people on the stands and say, I've got this already in my car, or I've got this already in my palm, will it work with it? Getting these questions answered was quite good. Then some of the stands, for example, printer manufacturers or something, where I know their range fairly well, but it turns out they've got a lot more than I'm used to, and I actually saw other variations on the printers that I normally know. It's quite good. And one interesting solution, which I'm going to follow up, is remote webcams. Or not remote webcams, they're more security cams. There's somewhere but a security camera the size of a webcam, which you can place anywhere, which has an internet connection. And have...
Is that something like that you put on the outside of your house, or how do you use it?
It'd be more interesting to have it in...
inside the house, if you have a big house?
Yeah, maybe. It's more for business purposes, that a business can say, okay, we can have one of these... if we've got network all through the building, we can have one of these on our storeroom, on the door to our storeroom.
So for protection?
For protection. Relatively low cost. It can set off an alarm. It's connected, like I say, to a normal internet line. So it doesn't require any special cabling. You can connect it up to your normal network, and it's sending you the pictures, it's sending you the alarms, and it's a very, I hope, cheap way of having these security options.
And replacing another person again.
Is it replacing a person? I think in the cases that I'm thinking of where it may be used, it would not replace a person.
Just add protection.
It would add protection to something that isn't protected at the moment.
Okay, yeah.
So there's, I'm thinking of smaller storerooms, maybe, where at the moment you wouldn't put a person in front of them. I'm not talking about protecting a whole building. I'm talking about one little room where an existing security officer can have an extra picture on his monitor from this camera, where before you wouldn't have put a camera in there because it would have been too expensive.
Okay, yeah, it's just, well, okay, then it's just...
Somebody's still got to watch the picture.
That's true, yeah. That's true. Somebody still has to make decisions, yeah. I know it must have been a rather long day for you up there, but do you really think one day is enough? I mean, just strolling through the fair and...
I'd like 2 days. Last year I had 1 day, and I had a later train back, and at the end of the day I was tired, and I'm like, I don't want to do any more, and I've seen enough. And then I actually did go and see other stands as well, because I had time before the train. And this year I had an earlier train, and it didn't seem long enough. I was getting to the end, and I know I left 1 or 2 places out that I wanted to go to, simply because I had to run to the train at the end. And it's just such a large fairground. I think it's about 2 kilometres from one end to the other, so you have to plan your time. You have to plan how you're going to get back to the station. And so another time, I'm thinking that 2 days would be better, but obviously with 2 days I've either got to travel twice, I've got to stay somewhere, so if I can keep it to 1, we'll see what happens over the next year, how many stands I want to visit next year.
So you will go again next year?
I shall go again, I shall keep going. I've been to CeBIT so many times, it's second nature to go there now. So.
Oh, your second home?
Well, not for 1 day a year. The stand used to be my second home for a week each year, but
yeah, okay. Sounds good.
It's been a long day, and I think it's time to go and put my feet up.
That sounds good.
Okay.
You deserve it.
Okay, bye.
Bye-bye.